All right. Hi, Professor. So for this assignment, I decided to watch the trials on Gabriel Fernandez. Some of my first impressions is that this documentary was extremely hard to watch, as you had already warned us. It was just overwhelming with so many emotions. I do have to admit that I cried multiple times watching this film. It was really hard for me to see how such a hard lifestyle Gabriel had at a really young age, and all the things that he had to go through, not only physical but also emotional abuse, constantly asking for the desperate need of help and not being able to be supported by anybody throughout the whole entire documentary. In this film, I can definitely say that the children were not being protected at all. Not only was Gabriel being ignored, but I was also able to see that throughout the film, he lived in an area where it wasn't really safe. It wasn't really a child environmentally friendly area. And it makes me really upset that social workers and law enforcement and all these bigger authorities that were once called because of this case never took so many of these signs into consideration. Not only was there actual evidence of the abuse throughout his body, but also he mentioned it clearly so many times and asked for help so many times, and it's really heartbreaking for me to see that in this film, especially because we live in a country that claims that we protect children no matter what. And it was overall a systemic failure. The system overall failed Gabriel Fernandez, and it was just really hard to watch. Social workers played a really big part in this documentary, and they were clearly shown as completely corrupt, and it expressed so many times how many of them were not wanting to take action into this case just because of the fear of losing their jobs or things like that. And it was really annoying for me to see that, because I feel like social workers could have played such a big role in saving the life of Gabriel, and it just didn't happen. And they did little to nothing to help him, and how they were constantly believing what the abusers were saying and taking that into consideration instead of what they could physically see on Gabriel Fernandez, all the bruises and all the physical scratches and everything that he had. It was really sad. Not only just the social workers, but also law enforcement. And then once Gabriel passed, the way that they were handling the case overall just really showed up so much of the things that are wrong in our criminal justice system and in our welfare children's system. And it's really hard for me to see all of that. When we talk about how did the film show racism, classism, and all of those different areas, I can say that I was able to see many of those classism and higher authorities being taking place, and how I was able to see that in this film. A lot of those people were just very limited in the way by which they would see the case, and many would claim it as something more simple, others would claim it as something more drastic. And it was completely crazy for me to see how the whole system was going all in complete different directions. Some were wanting to go in one way, some were wanting to do something different. and there was no organization, no clear path on how to solve this case. And I feel like there could have been so many things that could have been done to save the life of this kid, and there was nothing that was done. Something that was brought to my attention was how the characters, how many of the characters, teachers and social workers and all these other people that once had contact with Gabriel and his case said that they could have done so much more, and they didn't. And it was clear that it was a really, really, really hard case, and I feel like overall so many other things could have been done in order to save and to help Gabriel. And the people that held the power were really not doing anything.